At the exact same time that Donald Trump is pitching by far the biggest military budget the world has ever seen, he also wants to slash the portion of government spending that theoretically could benefit you or your family or your town or your small business. He wants to cut discretionary federal spending by about 25%. So, biggest ever defense budget, biggest ever cuts to domestic spending in the exact same year. Hey, and at the same time, perhaps biggest tax payoff to the wealthiest Americans of the world. Huge tax cuts for them, huge corporate tax cuts. This is sort of shaping out exactly how we said, and let's talk a little bit about how they got to some of this cuts. Now, as I have alluded to on the show, the argument is always going to be, we can cut any program we want because of DEI, and that's what they're saying in this case. It's DEI and race theory programs, that's what they're gonna be cutting, which means steep cuts to USAID, the EPA, the NIH, the CDC, the Department of Education. In some cases, 30+% of these entire government departments disappearing. And you might be thinking at this point, wait, 30% of the CDC was DEI? No, of course not, but that's the excuse that they're using to cut all this. NIH, it was obviously 40% woke. Department of Education, 30 to 40% woke, gotta get rid of the entire thing. And so that's what they're doing. And also NOAA, our ability to track hurricanes, FEMA, massive cuts, our ability to respond to hurricanes, wildfires, earthquakes, all of that. All of these, I mean, list a program, it has been drastically cut. And at the same time that they will tell you we are now finally safe militarily thanks to our $1.1 trillion defense budget, we're obviously far more likely to suffer from a natural disaster, a measles outbreak, and the list goes on. And we're now in no way prepared to deal with those far more likely domestic public health and other crises.
Okay, so more context. For non-defense entities, so Department of Homeland Security, Veterans Affairs, etc. When you take just non-defense into account, it's actually a 35% cut. So it's as if he's trying to prove Dwight Eisenhower right. Eisenhower, in his farewell speech, warned about the military-industrial complex, and he said, for every gun that we buy, that is, bread and butter off of our table. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, and it is food that our families can have, that our children can have. It's education. It's all those things will be sacrificed at the altar of the military-industrial complex. And Trump's like, oh, that's a really good idea. Let's do that. Why don't you guys, instead of having 30 Barbies, have 2 or something, and all the prices will go up, and all you'll have, and your kids won't get educated, and we'll just steal from the average man, and then we'll just give it to the military-industrial complex, and my donors who bribed me, gave me campaign contributions, and bribed me, gave money into my Trump organization and Trump media and Trump meme coin, etc. No, it was a warning, you schmuck. It wasn't a how-to manual. So now, you know how much they're cutting from all those essential programs? Overall, $163 billion. And how much are they adding to defense? $150 billion. So for all of those, Doge, we're making cuts, man, cuts. And you know what? You don't need no stinking education. Your kids are gonna go straight into the coal mines and assembly lines anyway. And in Florida, we just passed a bill saying that children can work overnight on school days. Okay, great. Yes, America, you're screwed. That was populism. This is populism. Come on, guys. Come on, this is nowhere near populism. So he's robbing from the average American to give it all to defense and potentially to Golden Dome so that Elon can have a slightly larger lead on Jeff Bezos on the richest man competition. Wow, what a populist. I told you, utter fraud. He at least had enough sense to pretend to be a populist, but he's been a fake populist all along. The only thing he did last time was add to defense, more tax cuts, giant gifts to corporations. Same exact thing now, just on bigger steroids. Been a fraud his entire life.
Yeah, the saddest part about all of this is that, first of all, maybe I'm just personally too fiscally conservative, but if I'm watching the economy and I'm seeing other nations drop our treasury bonds, like the strength of the dollar, it's all a little tenuous right now. If these were my personal finances, I would be clutching my purse a little bit instead of like inflating these budgets the way they are. But what do I know? But also, it genuinely just makes me sad to think about how better this money could be spent. not to be like, all bleeding heart lefty over here, but it breaks my heart to see all of the programs that are going to see massive budget cuts, some of which will be so massive that the programs won't be able to function properly. They're going to be utterly defunct. And then, as John pointed out, it's going to be very, very difficult in the future to reinstate these programs and to get all of these people back, people who have been in these positions for years. They have expertise, they have tenure there. They're going to be very, very difficult to replace. All of it are things that don't even need to happen. So just that alone feels very, very wasteful. Just the time and the effort that is going to be going to waste for that. And then all the people who are going to suffer without these programs in the meantime. And that's not anything to be dismissive of, right? Right now in the country, most Americans can't get by for very long without, if they miss one or two paychecks. Losing money from certain programs that a lot of Americans depend on. We're talking like SNAP and Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, those kind of types of things. People are going to suffer. People are going to lose their homes and things like that. And whenever the left has been talking about Trump's rhetoric all along, like since he came out, and we were saying that these words that he's saying are dangerous, and dangerous words can often lead to dangerous actions. People said that we were overreacting, and I feel like the only reason that they were saying that is because they just couldn't see the writing on the wall yet. But here we are today. Republicans have spent the last 10 years demonizing public education at the grade school level and also at the university level. They've called Social Security and Medicaid entitlements. They've talked about rampant gang violence and terrorism. And all of these talking points were seeds that they were planting in order to garner support for all of the things that they are now enacting and implementing on the American people. And that's why they can get away with things like even teasing martial law on the American people and saying, maybe we will turn the military against the American citizens. And that's how they can say, look, we need this inflated military budget because who knows what's going to happen? And really, who knows what's going to happen? At this point, it could be anything.
But good news, guys. We're also going to spend about $100 million on a military parade on Trump's birthday. So, but Doge just couldn't find a way to cut that. They're like, no, it's really necessary. It happens to be a lucky break that it's the Army's 250th anniversary, and Trump's going to use that as an excuse to celebrate himself. And one of our members wrote, and I totally agree. Why don't his donors who love to kiss his ass pay for his military parade instead of us? So MAGA should be asking the same thing, okay? Hey, you want to celebrate yourself with the big toys? Oh yeah, you know what? Your kids can't get 30 toys anymore. They can only get 2. But Trump's going to get all the toys,
50
right?
helicopters.
Yeah, and by the way, why don't you take the money that you're making from Saudi Arabia, the however many billions of dollars you're getting from that corrupt deal, and use it for your birthday military parade? No, constantly stealing from the American people. It's disgusting. I can't stand it. And so he's gonna get caught. So at some point, people are gonna realize, oh right, he didn't cut anything. Oh right, they're gonna do a $5 trillion tax cut. Oh right, he added to the deficit again. They never, ever, ever balance the budget. They never actually do real cuts. All they ever do is more pork barrel spending for their stupid donors. So look, we need a real populist revolt in this country. I'm sick of all this.
Yeah, even as they have their doggy, they're gonna add massively the deficit and the national debt, proving that it was never about waste, fiscal discipline. It's just more culture war, wedge issue BS.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.